Look, I know what I'm supposed to say here as a hook, and I'm not gonna say it. You can't make me. But I will say, I'm the Juggernaut, female dog! I was challenged to build Graaz, Unstoppable Juggernaut, in the comments of another video, and saying I was hesitant at first would be an understatement. Being 8 cost goes so far against my own personal rule. I usually only build commanders under 5 CMC because I like being able to cast them more than once or twice per game. But I do have to say, Graaz has been a whole lot of fun to both build and play, and I felt compelled to make this video so you too can be the Juggernaut. Graaz, Unstoppable Juggernaut, is an 8 CMC commander who turns all of our other creatures into 5/3 Juggernauts, and the core strategy is about what you'd expect here. Get creatures on the field, turn them into 5/3 Juggernauts, swing for the fences. But the way we get there is a little bit more interesting. There are a few different branches to our creature tree, so let's talk about our amazing little Juggernaut aspirants first. My favorite creatures for this deck are the ones who get +1/+1 for each artifact we control, because the amount of artifacts we control are not their base power and toughness, they're a modifier. So with Graaz on the field, we get 5/3 creatures who get +1/+1 for each artifact we control, making them absolutely huge. For this role, we have Urza's Saga, which has the ability to spit out 2 of these constructs before we go grab our 0 or 1 drop, Nettlecyst, which sticks around even if the equipped creature dies, and Karn, Scion of Urza, who can spit out 1 of these bad boys twice without any proliferation. Which, foreshadowing, we're running some proliferate effects, for more than one reason. Another archetype I like is +1/+1 counters, as again, they modify the base power and toughness set by Graaz. 2 of my favorites here are Hangerback Walker and Stonecoil Serpent. They have an X and double X mana cost respectively, so they scale with the game. We can play them early for a tiny amount of mana, or later as massive beaters. And Stonecoil Serpent has the added bonus of having protection from multicolored, making it a fantastic blocker or evasive attacker. Then we also have Steel Overseer to buff all of our artifact creatures, read all of our creatures, Patchwork Automaton, who has that pesky ward 2 and grows as we play the game, and Extruder and Arcbound Ravager, who double up as sack outlets for the creature tokens we'll be generating, along with cards like Ichor Wellspring and Spine of Ish-Sah. Then, to really get the most out of our +1/+1 counters, we're also running some Proliferate with Contagion Clasp, Karn's Bastion, Throne of Geth, and Staff of Completion. Although I'm specifically running Staff here because colorless card advantage is hard, life's a resource, and I'm greedy as hell. And finally, our third category of creature, our beautiful creature tokens that can either be used as sack fodder for value or turned into glorious juggernauts later. Our cream of the crop here being Retrofitter Foundry as a turn 1 play with so much utility, Nuisance Engine to make blockers or sack fodder, and Mirror Turbine to repetitively spit out 1/1s or potentially tutor for our Mirror Battlesphere if we can make enough mirrors. We also have Field of the Dead, which will reliably spit out zombies so long as we have 7 lands, since we're only running 2 basics, and Mirex to make cute little might tokens. Look how adorable they are! Then we also have our Hangerback Walker and Myriad Construct, who generate an amount of 1/1s equal to their power when they die or get targeted. So we can easily split them into a bunch of creatures on our opponent's end step the turn before we play Graaz. And outside of these categories, we're also running Batterskull because it's just too good not to run, granting +4/+4, Vigilance, and Lifelink. And the token we get when it enters can also become a 5/3 Juggernaut. Now, to reliably cast Graaz, we're gonna need some serious ramp. Our ramp package is pretty standard, but I have to mention here that Forsaken Monument is an absolute must include. Not only does it ramp us, it also buffs all of our Juggernauts by 2 and gains us life whenever we cast anything in our deck. And I do want to mention here that I'm usually generally opposed to fast mana and casual commander, but I feel like Mana Crypt and Mana Vault are justified with an 8 cost jank colorless commander. Otherwise, it's just too difficult to reliably cast him early enough. And as I mentioned earlier, card advantage is rough in colorless, so I spent a lot of time choosing these pieces. My favorites here are Arch of Oraska and War Room for not filling spell slots in our deck, War Room being especially good here for not costing us life in a colorless deck, Sensei's Divining Top, which helps us sort out our next draws, but also pairs extremely well with Mystic Forge to keep playing from the top of our deck, especially with a mana reducer like Foundry Inspector to draw as many cards as we want, and if you want to be that person, you can even throw in an Aetherflux Reservoir to win on the spot, Trading Post, which draws us cards or recurs our destroyed artifacts, and Staff of Nin, which nets us an extra card per turn, but also pings our opponents or their pesky creatures directly. Then, to get important pieces to aid in our success, we're running some Colorless Tutors. Urza's Saga grabs any 0 or 1 drop in our deck direct to battlefield, which is quite a few options. Moonsilver Key can grab Staff of Completion, Krark Clan Ironworks, or Forsaken Monument, as it has a triggered mana ability, and Kuldotha Forgemaster and Planar Bridge can grab just about anything useful in our deck straight to the battlefield. Now, another problem we have in Colorless is interaction. There's just straight up not a lot of options, but Transmogrifying Wand deals with pesky creatures and gets even better with our proliferation sources. Shout out to this person from the Discord for the awesome suggestion. Spine of Ish-Sa repetitively pops problematic permanents so long as we have a sack outlet on board. Ugin the Ineffable can destroy most permanents while making all of our spells cheaper. Duplicant exiles problematic creatures. All Is Dust and Ugin the Spirit Dragon wipe most of our opponent's boards, and Karn Liberated exiles just about anything. Next, to help in our Juggernaut domination, we'll want some great synergy pieces. Here we have Manifold Key, Clock of Omens, and Unwinding Clock to get a ton of value out of our Mana Vault, Faran Dynamo, and several other pieces, and Manifold Key has the added benefit of making any one of our Juggernauts unblockable until end of turn. We have Dolmen Gate to ensure our Juggernauts stick around even if blocked by Chonkers, Throne of the God Pharaoh to direct drain our opponents for each of our Juggernauts that are forced to attack every turn, Prototype Portal to spit out a bunch of Mana Vaults, Soul Rings, or Sculpting Steels to our heart's content, Wondrous Crucible to make it difficult to deal with our board and chaotically recur pieces from our graveyard, Akroma's Memorial to make all of our beautiful Juggernauts even more amazing, and Darksteel Forge to make our entire board pretty gosh darn difficult to remove. Moving right along, I'm generally not a fan of combo pieces unless they wear multiple hats in the deck, but we are running some infinites to close out the game if the opportunity presents itself. Nim Deathmantle helps keep our commander around if someone tries to destroy him, or we use our duplicant to exile multiple creatures, but also combos with Mirror Battlesphere and Cart Clan Ironworks to make unlimited Mirror tokens, and Rings of Brighthearth lets us double our activated abilities on a plethora of pieces in our deck, but also combos with Basalt Monolith for unlimited mana. And finally, I want to talk about our mana base. As a colorless deck, we get to run all of the most fun utility lands with absolutely no consequence. Some of my favorites here are Cavern of Souls to ensure our commander doesn't get countered, Inkmoth Nexus, which if we animate it before playing Graaz can deal 5 infect damage the turn it comes in, and Venter's Fair can grab useful pieces from our deck, the Mycosynth Gardens can copy one of our artifacts, Plaza of Heroes can make our commander hexproof and indestructible until end of turn, Rogue's Passage can make one of our Juggernauts unblockable until end of turn, Treasure Vault can make a ton of treasure to contribute to the power and toughness of our constructs or Nettlecyst, Urza's Workshop works extremely well with all the other Urza's lands, which we're of course also running. Witch's Clinic can give Graaz lifelink until end of turn, and then we also have some targeted land removal to deal with pesky suspects like Gaia's Cradle, Cabal Coffers, Dark Depths, and Ashaya, Soul of the Wild. And that about sums it up. Winning is pretty straightforward, smash our opponents in the face with Juggernauts. I've honestly had so much fun playing this list, and it's worked out way better than I ever would have expected as an 8 CMC commander. I really hope you enjoy playing it too. You can find the full list on Moxfield, link in the description, and make sure you hit that like and subscribe button down below if you enjoy these kinds of no-nonsense, straight-to-the-point deck techs. We are so close to 1,000 subscribers, and every little bit helps. Also, if you want to come hang out and talk Magic, I just recently started a brand new Discord server for this YouTube channel, link also in the description, and I'd love to see you there. Until next time, I hope you have a magical The Gathering day.